If this president is thinking about putting us in a position where we're in a war with Iran, the consequences will be absolutely unacceptable and tragic.
Take a listen to Trump.
Obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake, all right? Obviously, it was a mistake. So George Bush made a mistake. We can make mistakes, but that one was a beauty. We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East. But I want to tell you, they lied. Okay. They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction.
All right.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran.
Yeah, go ahead and call her Madam President, the prophetess herself. Did she lie? MAGA, congratulations. You are done bringing doomsday to all Americans.
All y'all had to do was vote for the black lady. That's all y'all had to do. You didn't have to protest. You didn't have to get in the streets. You didn't have to lose your jobs. You didn't have to be terrified that we're in war right now. All you had to do was vote for the black lady. You didn't have to write dissertations and make videos about how you're mad that black people won't join the fight. All you had to do was vote for the black lady. So much of what is happening right now is rooted in the fact that y'all never believe black people. You don't listen to us. You don't trust us, which is wild because we are the least among you. By definition, that means we can see what's coming a mile away. Instead, y'all chose to vote for a clown for a second time and proceed to be upset with black people like we aren't just 14% of the population. It's time to do some introspective work.
Do y'all remember when Kamala Harris said in 6 months of DJT becoming president, America will be in a WAR?
Harris was right about everything.
We have to look at this in the context of other behaviors by this president as it relates to Iran. He took unilateral action to withdraw us from the Iran nuclear deal. Some people liked it, some people didn't. Some people thought it should be stronger than it was, but it was very well negotiated, and people were complying with it. And he pulls us out of it based on unilateral action, frankly, from my perspective, born out of his fragile ego. And everything that we have seen happen since was predictable to one extent or another. Iran poses a real threat to the United States based on its nuclear capabilities. And the negotiation of the JCPOA and that Iran nuclear deal was a smart way to put a cap on that in terms of escalating the threat. And now we look, and then apparently he's tweeting out, this bravado about, lock and loaded. What does that mean? Okay, and also...
Well, it's an implicit military threat that the U.S. is going to use. We're going to use U.S. force.
Yes, it is. And again, listen, as far as I'm concerned, this president is motivated by his personal insecurities more than he is our national security. And so what we're looking at is, again, a threat that might be taken seriously. And I would dare to say that that threat was issued without serious consultation with our allies, with our military leaders, with our diplomatic leaders. What are our alternatives? Let's also be clear, if this president is thinking about putting us in a position where we're in a war with Iran, the consequences will be absolutely unacceptable and tragic in terms of the young men and women who are American soldiers who would be sent and deployed into something that was completely avoidable.
None of this would be happening if y'all would have just voted for that black lady with the nice silk press.
Kamala Harris warned us about Trump and Iran. Watch how detailed and specific she is in her warning.
He took unilateral action to withdraw us from the Iran nuclear deal.
That is the Trump that I voted for twice. So we elected him in 2016. We elected him again in 2024, more or less the exact same mandate. And like I said, we were excited, especially when Tulsi Gabbard became the director of national intelligence, right? And I'm not kidding when I say that 8 weeks ago in March, she testified before Congress that Iran did not appear to be building a nuclear bomb.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands, okay? This attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
So if you have proof that Iran is building a nuclear weapon, would you take military action?
I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals at this moment.
It's crazy how Trump is doing the very own thing that he criticized our government for doing, which is lying about weapons of mass destruction in order to bring the United States to a war with a country in the Middle East. Israel has been saying that Iran has been weeks away from developing a nuke since the 1990s. That is a ton of weeks that have passed by since then. I think we can all agree. Israel was also a big supporter and pusher for the Iraq War. And now we're seeing history repeat itself yet again. Israel and the United States are lying to yet again. Do not let them get away with it. If there was ever a time for mass protests in this country, the time is definitely now. No war with Iran.
Imagine the president said that he would put an end to wars. Instead, however, he decides to strike Iran nuclear facilities, which is going to create a...
Should America get involved in the Middle Eastern conflict?
Probably not. I think we need to stay out of it.
Stay the hell away. It shouldn't be involved.
Just from a tax dollars perspective, or
just in general? Why would we ever want any conflict at all?
Yes. Can I ask you why?
Not really.
You don't want to tell us?
I'm a professor at the University of Michigan.
Oh, okay. So you don't want to tell us why? Okay.
No, they need to get the f out of everybody's business and stop and mind their god business.
Worry about the U.S. before we're worrying about
EB. Like we're on EBT.
No, let them do their thing. Let us be cool over here.
This is a statement from Donald Trump. Quote: "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, etc." I agree. And I want to tell you something. Not only is this news that I've just heard, the second alarming that all of you have just heard, but it is so grossly unconstitutional. All of you know that the only entity that can take this country to war is the U.S. Congress. The president does not have the right